What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Champion Living Podcast, where we believe that consistency, perseverance, and not taking life too seriously are the keys to success. I'm Doug, the founder and owner and head coach of Champion Living Fitness. Each week, I'll be joined by my coaching staff with the vision of providing trustworthy information about fitness, nutrition, and mindset, and how this all applies to being a professional rodeo athlete as well as people from all walks of life. Are you ready to become a champion? Let's go.
Been talking with a bunch of clients recently about it's like hip flexor pain, right? A lot of the guys on the road, and they're like, "Man, I'm so tight. I'm so tight through my hip flexors." And well, first of all, they're sitting a lot. They're driving a ton. They're getting on a ton of stock. So that's all really understandable. I'd say that's probably to be expected to be a little tight through the hip flexors. They've been asking, what can I do what stretches can I do to fix this? And I thought, first thought is like, man, we don't want to stretch that too much. We actually want to activate and turn everything on and get that
Mhm.
and strengthened, right? Because again, on the road a lot, they're not doing that many strengthening exercises right now. We're doing a lot of mobility, and mobility is good to increase that range of motion and to, activate everything. But those little things, those little muscles right now need a lot of attention. And we've been it just makes me think about the entire core when they say it's not just your hip flexors, guys. It's the entire
Yeah.
core system that is needing a little bit of activation and a little bit of strengthening, and we can do that really, really easily. And so I've been giving these guys some hip flexor, releases, but also strengthening exercises followed up with that to really activate and get that core engaged and get that pelvis tilting the correct way and just get everything turned on again. Because when we're sitting and kind of dead like that for that many hours in the truck, everything kinda wants to go lights
Mhm.
out, right? Turn
Yeah.
off. So
And I think we've talked about it plenty of times before, but, like, usually where you're feeling pain isn't the issue. Like, there's another problem that's causing pain either up or down the chain in some way, shape, or form, and that's, like, with the hip flexors, um, we can almost always look at the core because, I mean, they obviously, we would lump them into core muscles, um, but yeah, for sure.
yeah. So anyone that is, like, dealing with tight hip flexors right now, tight hips, think about instead of just stretching them, getting them into this lengthened position with, a band or something. Like, you can get into almost like a single leg RDL stance. I use a PVC pipe on my, whatever leg I have in the band. So the band would be behind me around my foot. I'm gonna let it pull my hip flexor back, and then I am gonna squeeze my core and drive that knee up into a sprinter hold and flex that foot up and really activate that hip flexor group, my core, my pelvis, and then control again and let that band really lengthen that hip flexor. And again, do that again. I do that about 10 reps a side. I've been doing that with athletes, and it's been a really simple exercise that these guys are and girls are seeing a lot of benefit from just doing those 20 reps of it. Right
Mhm.
before they get on, right after you get out of the truck. And um, it's just something that came across my mind. I thought everyone listening is, probably on the road, probably traveling, even if you're not rodeoing, it's summertime. You guys, summer vacation, like you're going places. Majority of my clients are traveling right now. So we're doing
Mhm.
on the road stuff, mobility. And to be honest, some of them, even my rodeo people, like just moms and dads, they're enjoying summer and they're not working out as much right now. And that's okay because there are seasons of life. And that's to be expected. That's realistic, right? Like that's being real about the journey. You're not going to be able to work out every day. You're not going to be able to do this all the time because that's not real. That things get in
Mhm.
the way, things happen, especially if you have kids, that. So enjoying this time is awesome. That's what it's all about. That's what you've worked so hard up until now to do. But the one thing you have to realize is you do have to do something, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, even if it's 20 minutes, something light. I have a girl I've been training. She's got 2 kids. I have worked with her. She's my first client ever. Been with me since the very, very beginning. Um, dude, she works out, um 51 and a half weeks of the year. You know what I mean? Like never misses, super
Mhm.
consistent. Um, in the beginning, she had a really hard time when vacation time came up or time, family time came up, not hitting the same workout because it was just such a part of her routine. It was almost a little bit, like, kinda unhealthy, the relationship with working
Yeah.
out, right? And so, it's been fun over the years, I mean, the last 8 years, 9 years, like, a long time, watching her whole outlook change, and she just left again for the same vacation that they go on every summer this last week and, like, hit 2 workouts. They went to Disneyland. She's like, "I did mobility just because I was super tight and just needed to do something," but she's like, "I was totally cool not working out because I've worked really hard up until now. I can go enjoy this time, go have a
Yeah.
beer at Disneyland, like, go ride some roller
Especially at
coasters."
Disneyland, like, you're probably getting
Yeah.
your steps in,
You're
like,
definitely getting your
it's
steps
not an
in.
off day for sure.
Exactly, but it's just makes me think about the seasons of this, and you're gonna have times where you are really consistent with the gym and crushing it, and you're gonna have times where you don't wanna go at all, and to be completely transparent, that's where I've been at the last, uh, probably, like, month and a half, and it's just summertime, man. I'm just out doing stuff. I wanna be fly fishing, I wanna be scouting for elk, I'm moving irrigation pipe, like, that's the whole reason I stay fit is to go do those things, right? So,
Mhm.
just doing maintenance stuff, and I've been keeping it as simple as yesterday. I've been watching Calgary every day. I've been working out since it came on because it just helps me pass the time so much faster, and I end up staying in there a lot longer than I want to, but or wanted to before I started. It's been like
Mhm.
I'm like having to grab myself by the ear and just pull myself in the gym, dude. Like,
Yeah,
it's bad.
yeah.
But I've been just doing one compound movement and literally like 45 minutes to an hour of it. I end up getting like 8 to 10 sets in. I did back squat yesterday, and by the end of it, my legs were roasted, dude. And I went to 155. Just did a lot of reps, took a lot of rest in between sets. Um, but it felt good, like, felt really good to do. Body felt great, and I'm kinda think I'm gonna stick with it for deadlift, squat, and bench. I'm gonna do 3 days like that and
Mhm.
just see if I can what the muscle growth is like. On the in-between days, I'm gonna just do a little bit of cardio. I've
Yeah.
been kinda geeking out on the HRV on my Whoop, so I
Or
wanted to
yeah,
see that
so
thing go up.
I it sounds like we're kind of on the same page. It's something really similar to what I've been doing. So, in addition to your compound lift, are you doing, like, anything else, like mobility or
Yeah, I'm
anything?
doing some accessory stuff with it, in between. I'm doing some core whatever compound lift I'm doing, like so yesterday was squat. I did some isometric holds, lunge holds. I did, I did crossbody RDL. I've been kind of plugging in the major movement, so I'll have my major core movement, which was squat yesterday, and then I'll have some kind of press, some kind of rotation, some kind of hinge, some kind of lunge, and some kind of carry. And that's it.
Mhm.
7 movements, and I just do 2 sets of the other ones and keep them really light and really slow and controlled and tempoed,
Yeah.
and it's been feeling good. If you know, I, wow, sorry, words are hard. My broadcast channel on Instagram, do you have a broadcast channel on your Instagram or know what that
No, I
is?
haven't set one up yet,
Okay.
but yeah,
I
I've
set
seen
one up,
yours.
and I just made it my own. It's like my own accountability thing, but it's my own, like, little workout journal
Mhm.
that I'm doing every day, and I've been writing in there all the workouts I do every day in my own personal gym, and you can kinda see what how I do it, why I'm doing it, and I kinda it's for myself so I can look back and say, "Oh, I felt this way about today," and I even write, like, "I did not feel like doing this," and I feel like I've said that repetitively, and everyone's probably like, "Alright, dude, we get it, like, you don't wanna work out, but you do. You're really awesome at this." Like, that's not the point, though. It's, yeah, it's for me. It's for me to see it all and for hopefully to make it real for other people watching, like, this is the real journey. Just because this is our profession does not mean we're perfect at this, nor does it mean
Yeah.
that, we go in and
That's
work out 5 hours a day, like, that's not how it goes. We shoot dude, demo video days where I'm not even working out, I'm just shooting demo videos are the most exhausting days ever. And I
Mhm.
am more sore from those days than I am any workout that I do. So it's
Yeah,
like,
because you
yeah,
do, like,
some of
1
it
or 2 sets of, like, 30 different
yeah,
exercises.
dude,
It's
and you're
like,
talking
"Oh
at the same
gosh."
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and my Whoop's just like, "Bro, you just strained a 20. What are you doing?" It's like, "Well, your heart rate was 180 because you didn't talk or breathe." I mean, you didn't breathe the entire time you're talking.
Yeah, but the last week I've been doing it sounds like pretty much the same thing as you, just trying to pick 1 compound lift per day, and then doing some mobility alongside of that.
I've been doing lots of
Not really
mobility.
even adding in, like, any accessory exercises or whatever, just doing mobility that feels good on that
Mhm.
day. And then on depending on every other day or depending on how I, whatever comes up that day, um to make sure I've got enough rest in between is I've been doing either jumps or the mobility, and then on like the quote unquote off days where I'm not doing compound lifts, I've been doing or me and Cannon just we go for a jog or like do like run
Mhm.
intervals, like 30 seconds on, minute off, or something like that for 30 minutes, and then um, gets him active too because he needs to exercise. He needs to run. He's got so much energy.
He just
It's
needs to burn
insane.
that energy. Yeah,
Yeah. This is
exactly.
the other day. That's how it started. Was the other day where it was just like I was like, dude, you got to go outside and run. Like you're like boiling. Like I can tell. Like you're just about to explode. I said, let's go
Yeah.
for a run. And so we did a little interval run, and he loved it. And so he's been asking to do it every day since.
That's awesome. That's just creating such a good habit, dude, in a routine form to
Hmm.
know that I feel this way. That's gonna he probably doesn't even know what anxiety is yet, but that'll translate. The same kind of like,
Yeah.
I can't control this, like I need to go do something. That's gonna be
Hmm.
awesome. Gives him good coping
Yeah.
skill. Um, I just realized I'm looking back at my workouts. I always, whenever I don't want to work out, once I get moving, I always feel so good and I do way more than, than
Hmm.
I want to.
Every
Um,
time.
but looking back at this, I actually been splitting it like a back squat and vertical press day and a bend
Hmm.
and horizontal press focus. And then I have been throwing in the other movement patterns as accessories.
Yeah.
And so people get all worried about, I thought you can't do this muscle group with this muscle group. And it's like, man, if the focus is your squat and vertical press, the intensity is there. All of your accessories should be a much lower intensity, a much lower weight, sometimes even body weight, focusing on range of motion, mobility, whatever it is. You can do those things together. You just have to be, you can't go max out at them all, right? It's like
Hmm.
I have a crossbody deadlift on my back squat day in there. It's like I heard that was a big no-no. It's like, yeah, if you go do max effort on both of those, yes, that's probably a big no-no. You are going to feel that or possibly worse, hurt yourself or something. But keeping the intensity low. Crossbody RDL, I think about that more as a mobility exercise than a strength building
Hmm.
exercise for sure. So,
Yeah, because you're
um,
not loading that very heavy.
no, not at all, and I'm really focusing on I wanna feel it in that glute med. I wanna feel the stretch in that when I'm hitting that end range of motion, and
There you go.
then I wanna be able to activate through that. That's what's telling me I'm doing good in that exercise. I'm like, "Holy
Hmm.
smokes, I can feel that stretch. Oh, yeah, I can feel my glute activate. I can press through that ground and drive my hips through. Alright, we're strong in that end range," right? So, sorry, I'm going down rabbit holes, but yeah. Getting back to the hip flexors, let's talk about some core because core, you said, hip flexors are part of the core.
Hmm.
We talked about this a little bit on the last episode with stability or balance. I'm sorry, and the core is all encompassing. It is the entire 360 front, sides, and back from you know your nipples down to about just below your hips. Um, say quarter way down your quad. That is, and then again, full circle, front to back. So
Hmm.
everything. So when we think about strengthening the core, and every week I get questions all the time. How do I get my core stronger? I feel like I'm weak in my core. I can't tell you how many athletes have tell me that on consultations. My biggest
Hmm.
weakness is my core strength, and we start talking about it, and it's like, oh, it might not just be your core strength. It's a lot of things that are tied together, right?
Hmm.
It's usually not just one thing. So let's plain and simple define what our definition of the core is.
Of the
What
core.
mu Yeah, like, what muscles are the core?
Well, I mean, kind of like you just said. Like, is that what you're looking for? Like the specific muscles, or
Yeah, like rectus abdominis, transverse
yeah,
abdominis,
transverse
obliques,
abdominis, the
lower
obliques,
back
lower,
muscles.
yeah, and your hips.
Yes.
All
So,
the muscles in your hips.
when we talk about like, when people say, "What are core exercises?" It's like, all of those things we just named, all of those muscles are the core, so you need to be picking from all of those muscle groups, right? Exercises that will strengthen those. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, but like pelvic floor, hip abductors, adductors, hip flexors, hip extensors, like all of that is going to be all a part of the core. So when like we're talking about That's kind of like one of the big things is when, like you said, like people think, oh, my core is weak, or they'll say like my lower back's weak because it hurts all the time. Like one of the things I found is it's usually not their lower back that's even weak. It's all the other core muscles that are the weaker links, and their lower back is taking over all the work, and that's what's causing the pain. And so, um, when it comes to core stability, like we want to be strong in all of those. We want to have control of
Mhm.
all of those muscles, and that's a pretty long list of things that we need to be doing.
It
And so,
is.
like with what people think of as core training, doing your crunches and your planks, like yeah, those are great,
It's one
but
part.
you're missing about 80% of the puzzle there.
Yeah, and I love that you talked about, your lower back takes most of that strain, that's where people majority of the time will feel pain or
Hmm.
express that, like, I'm really tight through my lower back, and the core is weak, yes, but one thing that they're missing, and I like that you said love that you talked about pelvic floor because that is a huge part that no one thinks about, what's going on under the pelvis, but their inability to be able to control their pelvis
Hmm.
is why that lower back is taking a lot of the pressure. Weakness in the front side, tight equaling tightness usually is pulling everything forward, which is causing your pelvis to rotate and that lower back is in a weird position, right? The entire time. Dude, if there's one thing that every rodeo athlete should be doing, it's straight up
The
maternity
pelvic, yeah,
pelvic
the
floor
exact,
classes. Like
yeah,
I am
I
so
send
serious.
I send guys that like are having hip issues and stuff. I send them videos of like the pregnancy coaches all the time on
Yes.
YouTube. I'm like, hey, like do these real quick, and this will make you feel better. And I always feel bad because I'm gonna be like, I know they're just like thinking, what in the heck? Like this is not gonna do anything. This is a pregnant woman demoing these exercises. But dude, sure enough, like that is one of the most overlooked areas, and especially for like an athlete that is straddling something, like that is a lot similar to a woman giving birth than what we might think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny.
It cracks me up, man. That makes me laugh even harder just picturing you sending these, like, pregnant lady videos to these
Yeah,
18-year-old bull riders, and they're
little
like, "What
macho
in
bull
the
rider.
hell is this?" Yeah. This is we're bringing you down a notch, bud. This is a little humbling
Trust
experience.
me, man, yeah, trust me, it's gonna work.
No, it does, but, let's talk about the variety of exercise we can get into here. We talked about and I'm so serious, anybody that's dealing with lower back pain, any pelvic floor, adductor, groin issues, like, go look up, um, pregnancy pelvic floor exercises, and you will be
Mhm,
very surprised. They're very, very simple. They're very, very difficult. They light you up. Like, they definitely light you up
mhm.
if you're not used to that, and they teach you how to control that pelvis, and I think that if you're someone even that deals with constant, lower back pain, it's not from an acute injury, probably dealing with some weakness and some tightness there, um, you can fix that very easily by consistently doing things like those exercises. So, let's keep it real simple. Let's talk about planks. Like, the plank is the first thing that comes to mind when we think about core exercises. Very, very simple, very, uh anybody can do it. Literally
Mhm.
anybody can do it. But there is a you gotta pay it your form and technique matters a lot on a plank, and
Yes.
it doesn't sound like it, everyone's like, "What do you mean? Just get in the elbows under you and bring your hips up and hold it." No, we really that's where we're just not getting the most out of the exercise. You can go do any exercise, and if you're not actively controlling the muscles and activating the muscles that you need to be, the exercise is giving you about 50% of what you could be getting from it. And
Mhm.
so in plank, like a basic prone plank compared to like our active plank that we do is a great example. And the way, yeah, man, you feel such a difference, right? You can sit there
Oh,
and
yeah.
lollygag and talk during a prone plank, but we tell you to activate and try and pull the ground apart and tuck that pelvis and squeeze everything. Holy smokes. You are wrecked after about 3 reps holding for 3 seconds.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna say the exact same thing, is that it's not just about trying to hold it as long as you can. Like, just passively, like, just trying to hold a position. Like, if it's not hard enough or you're not struggling, like, you can make it harder by putting intention behind it, and that's, like, what we do with the active planks is, like, we set different cues for, like, the intention behind the exercise, and all of a sudden, it makes it 5 times harder than it was before, and, like, you're having to think about, it the position that your body's in, the pressure that you're applying, to the floor, like what muscles you're engaging, like you're thinking about all of that, and just that intention alone is what helps you get more out of the exercise.
Yeah, and I think the one cue that everybody could benefit from when it comes to a plank, and we're going to talk about side planks here in a second. Um, Squeeze your butt, squeeze your
Mhm.
glutes really tight while you're doing the plank, and you'll feel everything come together. You'll feel your pelvis start to neutralize there and be able to tilt it. And that's the control that we're looking for in those in that exercise. But so plank is rectus abdominis is our anterior core, right? We flip over to a side plank. We are starting to look at our obliques. Um, Same thing though. Really intentional about what we're doing in this plank, right? And your setup is very important. The first thing I see with most athletes, clients, is they have their elbow way out in front of them, in front of their shoulder,
Mhm.
right? And just like anatomically, that is going to be much harder to support your body with that away from your shoulder. So my first thing is always try and make sure that elbow and shoulder are stacked right on top of each other in this position. And then we want a straight line from shoulder to hip to ankle and or knee and ankle all the way down, right? And again, the one thing I see here is again, we're working on obliques. We're working on your glute med, controlling that pelvis through. We
Yeah,
don't
I was gonna
see
say this is another one where squeezing your butt makes a
you
big
have to
difference.
squeeze your butt. You have to. And we can see it instantly. And when we're coaching, all right, get up and do a side plank. They get up to it, and there's like straight line, and then it goes "Beep," a V, and
Mhm.
then comes up. You're like, okay, we are not
Yep.
active at all through there.
It
And
shouldn't look like a wet noodle.
no, no, definitely should not. So really squeeze your glutes, squeeze that shoulder blade back and stabilize. Practice stabilizing that shoulder using those muscles actively. That's another thing we see is rounded forward, and it usually means your top part of that shoulder is rounding forward as well. Um, so it's just all about these are such simple exercises, but you have to be intentional about doing them. And again, we just talked about anterior core of the front, transverse, the sides, the obliques. The side plank is what you can do for an exercise. It's very basic for that. If you guys cannot do these, or girls, if you're not in a place where you can hold them with your feet flat, you can bend your knees, do them on your knees, no problem. I would just say on your side plank, if you bend your knees, make sure your feet are directly pulled all the way behind your knees. And that's going to
Mhm.
be able to activate your glutes a lot easier through there. Let's get into the backside of the core, posterior um, chain. Again, we're keeping the exercises very simple today, and we're talking about them. What are two exercises, Paul, that we can
The
do today?
first one is glute bridges for sure.
Yeah.
And usually like starting somebody out, I go like feet elevated up onto a
Mhm.
bench or a box or a step or something, and
With
then go
their
down to the
legs
floor
straight or bent, or
with their
how?
legs bent. Yeah, with their legs bent,
So they
starting
have
them
like their
out.
heels on the bench. They'll have
Mhm.
their knees like bent at 90 degrees.
Yep,
Their
and then you
back flat on the
squeeze
ground.
your butt, press your hips up to the sky,
Press your
and
heels to the
then
bench.
yeah, you can make it, as difficult as you want to, with these with different glute bridge variations. So, but yeah, glute bridges in general, like some variation of it is gonna for sure be in there. And then like even loading it with weight and doing hip thrusts. Um, they're all gonna be great for building up that posterior chain, like your hamstrings and glutes and all that good stuff.
Yep. One cue I will tell everybody to focus on during a glute bridge or a hip thrust. And the one thing I see is hips go up, and when a lot of time we see neck go back, chin go up, big curve through the spine, right?
Mhm.
We again really need to control that pelvis and that core when we come up. So I always say tuck your chin, like look at your hips. What are they doing? And when you are squeezing your butt at the very top, you need to be squeezing that core down at the same exact time, keeping everything tight. Um, I see it more on hip thrust from a bench than I see it on a glute bridge, just because you're on the floor
Yeah,
usually for a
they're
glute bridge.
overextending and trying
Yes,
to yeah.
they think that they're getting further, but really, in all reality, they're just pushing their belly button up, dumping their head, and it feels like they're going further because their head's going lower.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah.
The best
So
form
focus on
check is to video yourself from the side, and, like, there should be a
absolutely.
straight line from your knees to your hips to your shoulders, and if you're
Make it
not getting it quite up to that straight line, then you know that there's an issue.
yep. At the end of every rep, pretty much no matter what exercise it is, like you should be having a line somewhere, line stacking joints
Mhm.
uh in a proper line. Yeah. Damn, I just derailed myself. What were we talking about?
Glute bridges?
Okay, but I had something to say here. Single legs is the
Okay.
next transition after that.
Yes,
So you
yes.
can do single leg versions of this. And again, make sure you are watching your hips, squeezing that core and squeezing those glutes tight. Um, you can get a lot of these exercises, adding a tempo to them. If they're really easy for you, adding weight to them, adding a band to them. There's all kinds of way you can add resistance to them.
Making
But
your
the
legs
biggest
out
thing,
longer, like, with,
yeah,
your legs more extended,
ooh,
it's way
yeah,
harder. Yeah.
spicy. Posterior bridge is my favorite exercise like that,
Mhm.
100%. And again, you're just getting in a glute bridge position for a posterior bridge, and you're walking your feet out to a 45-degree angle for your knees, and you are driving those hips up. And when you get to the top, you are trying to pull those heels to your shoulders essentially and control your glutes and control your pelvis. It is a game changer for your hamstrings and posterior part of your core. Hmm. Anti-rotation. I'm not gonna lie. These are like
Mhm.
rotation, anti-rotation are my favorite types of core exercises by far. And I
Yeah,
think it's
for
just
sure.
because you're doing stuff. You feel like you're actually doing stuff. What's your favorite anti-rotation?
Probably any pal-off variation, and I like to
Yeah,
get pretty creative with them too. So, like,
me too.
the options are endless, but, like, a standard pal-off press, you're gonna either use a band or a cable that's perpendicular to your body as it's pulled, and you're going to just stand shoulder or feet underneath your hips and brace your core, trying not to give into this rotation, and then you're gonna move your hands out in front of you when holding onto the band or cable, and so it's wanting you to turn your torso up or perpendicular to your feet or your hips, and so what's happening is you're having to try and fight that and maintain uh you know
Straight
you're
line.
you're maintaining a square alignment with your hips and shoulders.
Yep. I love that your first cue was to control your hips in that
Hmm.
because you have to lock those hips down. That is your base for everything. If you don't have tight controlled hips, active hips, everything else is going to be able to move and be moved to the side. So locking those in is your first cue. Pal off rotation is my favorite rotational exercise, but also I like adding the anti-rotation on the backside of that, on the eccentric essentially of that movement, and adding a tempo to it. So again, I'm gonna be in the
Hmm.
same position Paul was in, except for I'm gonna go towards the band, rotate to about a 45-degree angle right off my hip, and I'm gonna press through the ground, squeezing my core, squeezing my glutes, and bring it to the other 45-degree. And on the way back, I'm controlling that rotation back, that anti-rotation, right? And that man, I add like a 2-1-2-1 tempo to that, and
Hmm.
10 reps, again, that's about a minute of tension. It's a long time, but I am smoked after 2 reps of that. Um, Coming back to the front side, hip flexors, psoas, adductors, abductors. Again, adductors and abductors, I guess, are gonna be adductors in the middle, but moving your leg, squeezing those legs in, abductors outside of the hips, being able to control the hips going out, and any kind of psoas march, psoas hold, hip flexor, isometric hold with a mini band, anything like that is going to strengthen those. And that RDL kind of hip flexor airplane to sprinter hold that I talked about in the beginning of this episode. It's going to be another good one. We're going to have those on our YouTube channel as well. So you guys can go swing over there, check it out. If you haven't followed our YouTube channel, check it out. We have so many demo videos on there. Every podcast episode video version is live there as well. And then we have all of our OPA full films. We're about to release our bull riding OPA film there as well. So it is a pretty awesome video you guys are going to love. But pay attention to everything when we're talking about the core, y'all. It's a 360 all encompassing thing. You have to strengthen all of it to reap the benefits, right? Um, what else you got? Anything else for that, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, really, it just kind of parting thoughts, I guess, to put the core thing to rest is like almost every exercise works your core in some way, shape, or form. And so if you have that intention, especially like when you're doing your compound lifts and things, like thinking about using your core, you're going to get way more out of the exercise.
Mhm.
For what the purpose is. So like if you're doing, a squat or a deadlift, like your squat and deadlift are going to look better anyway, and then you're getting the side effects of building core strength at the same time and stability. And so having the intention of using your core throughout your entire workout, no matter what it is. I don't even care if you're going for a run. Like think about like keeping everything stable and like you're not just flopping around like a fish on the pavement. Like
Mhm.
be be strong through your core and you'll see a lot of issues like chronic pain, stuff like that start to subside. Um,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said that. You have to think about your core in every movement you're doing in the gym and in life. You will have a lot less pain and have a lot more fun doing whatever you're
Mhm.
doing if you focus on that. And when I'm squatting and deadlifting and pressing, with a barbell, there is no time that I feel stronger throughout my core than when I'm doing those kinds of movements because you're your whole body has to support the weight. Like if
Mhm.
you're activating everything correctly, you are going to gain a ton of strength and going to make yourself more durable.
Yeah,
And again,
100%. I
so,
one story to kinda wrap it up too is, when I first started adding tempo and things into my workouts back in, like it was, like, 2018 because I think my son was born, he wasn't very old, um, but that was, like, when I first discovered tempo, and then I kinda started putting the pieces of the puzzle together, like, "Hey, like, my core is I can work my core in different ways using tempo and things like isometric holds, things like that." But one of the biggest things I noticed, and this might not relate so much to our rodeo athletes listening, but anybody else that, has kids or is a parent, even if even rodeo athletes that are parents, when you start putting intention behind your core training like that, the biggest thing that I noticed was I went to go pick my son up off the ground one day and like he felt lighter. And kids don't get smaller as they grow up; they get bigger. So he should feel heavier every day. But when he was like 6 months old, I remember vividly remember picking him up off the ground, and I was like, Hmm, my
huh,
back didn't my back felt super strong, like, usually, like, you stand up and there's, like, that little pinching in your low back or something, and I was like, "I don't feel that, he feels light. This is cool. I think I'm making progress here." Um, yeah, and that was, like, nothing that wasn't anything crazy, I was still doing all the exercises I'd done before, I was just doing them with a different intention behind it, and that was what made the biggest difference.
dude, that's real life right there, real
Yeah.
talk. And I've heard they call it mom hip, I think. Yeah, from carrying your kid on your hip
Yeah.
so long you
Oh, yeah.
kinda get pushed over, right? And that's for dads too, 100%. If
Yeah.
you got a little one, you're carrying them a lot and your hips are out of whack, some mobility, some core strengthening would do you guys and girls wonders. So, if you don't know where to start, reach out to us. We'd love to help you. Go to championlivingfitness.com, click the sign up now button. It's a free consultation. We'll answer all your questions, make sure we sign you up and get you started with the right coach and get you feeling better and stronger. Real quick, when it comes to the core stuff, really easy places you can plug this in are your warm up for sure, getting your
Mhm.
core active. And I really think and recommend that any warm up, any exercise, you should be activating your core. Now, again, focusing on the day, whatever it is. Is it a rotational day? Is it an anti-rotation day? Is it just a, anterior core? Like I don't know, whatever it is for you, but warm up that area, activate that muscle group, get it ready to perform, just like you would any other muscle group. Um, one kind of common misbelief is you can work the core every day without getting sore. You heard that one before?
Yeah, I've heard people say, like, you can't overtrain it, but, the only people that say
Uh-uh.
that are people that have never overtrained it.
Yeah. I can tell you right now,
I
you could
learned from
overtrain your core.
experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought I
you
had just
definitely can.
torn my
It's called
guts up for 2
what
days.
they call it I think in CrossFit,
Rhabdo?
they call it abdo. Abdo
Rhabdo.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
called
well, yeah, no, it's like
rhabdomyolysis.
rhabdo, but they call it no, but
Oh,
they
like
call it
the
abdo for your
yeah,
abs.
yes, yes,
Like,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
it's a
yes,
play
yes.
on words.
I
Yeah,
got it,
yeah.
yeah. But you can train it too much, and that's why breaking it up into different parts here on a daily basis is gonna be the best way. So, you can do planks, you can do your anterior core one day, you can do your anti-rotation one day, you can do rotation one day, you can do your posterior core one day, and your probably going to be okay, just as long as your volume is not through the absolute roof, right? And again, listening to your body, what is it telling you? Do you need to rest when you need to? Like, do all of those things, but don't do 1,000 sit-ups a day. And we hear that all the time. Did my 100 push-ups and 500 sit-ups today. Well, that's good. I'm glad that rodeo takes place in one plane of movement, because what happens if we don't go straight? Like, what
Yeah.
now? You know? But just wanted to kind of clarify that you can't overtrain your core, especially if you're doing the same movements over and over and over. And again, just like cardio, the adaptations, your body gets better at doing those movements. So you're getting less results from doing the same amount of reps. So you're going to have to increase the reps. And there hits a point in time where 5,000 reps just isn't fun. Like, I don't want to do that, right? So change it up, do different stuff. And keep it, don't forget the simple stuff, because that's where the bread and butter is on anything. I've been doing fitness for, I don't know, like a long, long time, almost probably 20 years. And I still do planks. I still do side planks, still do the simple stuff. And they're still hard. They're still difficult. So just don't forget about the easy stuff. It's low hanging fruit. And, um, consistency is the key with anything. You've got to do the thing repetitively over and over and make it fun. And again, change it up. It doesn't have to be this. There is no secret sauce. There's so much gray area in fitness, guys. There's there is black and white, the principles, but all that in between is just gray. Majority of fitness, I would say, is gray. So have fun with it. Like we were just talking about, we're not feeling the working out lately. We just been doing whatever we want. We're still moving. I still feel good. I'm still seeing gains, but it just looks different, and that's okay. That's what keeps you being able to stay consistent, because, again, people think we're like machines, that we just go do the same program over and over. It's like, nah, we change things up all the time, because that's what keeps it fun. And that's why I like working out, because it's fun. It's enjoyable. I feel good after. The thought of it is not always fun, but that's why we change it up and do different stuff. Y'all, if you're having trouble sleeping or you've got really achy muscles, Power Pro CBD has teamed up with us to bring you their tinctures and their warming lotions. Guys, these have been a crucial part of my nightly routine. Y'all can check them out at PowerPro, PWRpro.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, to save you a good chunk at discount. Here's the deal. Lots of rodeo gear companies are coming out, but not all are equal. Beastmaster is really setting the bar when it comes to the equipment that is built for durability and designed for success in the arena. You guys can check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24. That's ChampionLiving24. Going to save you a little bit at checkout. I saw you guys got a bow. You got 2 bows.
Yep. Yeah, my dad has had a bow. It's like a 40-year-old. It's probably 40 years old exactly. I bet he bought it in 84, maybe 84, 85, something like that. Used it for a little while, but never like really got into archery. And it's pretty much just hung in a garage for at least the last 30 years. And I think he told me to take it like several years ago. And so I took it and then never did anything with it. And then the other day we were up at his house and he's like, take that bow. I was like, all right, I'll go. And so I took it in the pro shop yesterday. They got it all fixed up, got a new arrow rest and tuned up a little bit, and then bought Cannon a little youth bow. And so we were putting some arrows down range last night and he was loving it. So that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, dude. He was so fired up on that video you sent.
Yeah.
I love it.
He did give me a good coaching lesson last night though. We were laying in bed and I was like, "Man, you did pretty good today." He goes, "Yeah, but you were confusing me." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Was I telling you too many things at one time?" And he said, "Yeah, I think so." And I was like, "Okay, tomorrow I'm not going to coach you. Like, I'm just going to let you shoot and then we'll coach after the reps over or whatever."
Yeah.
And so like that was the thing, as I was trying to cue like 3 or 4 different things as he's trying to draw back, and it was just getting him so, it was messing with his head. And I was like, "Yeah, I should have known better."
Yeah, no, it's
I should have
tough,
known better.
man. It's tough. And even with adults, like, it just, again, learning a new skill, it takes time, takes practice, and it's good for you. It is good for the mind to learn new stuff.
Yep.
So, and I'm selfishly excited because I'm hoping that maybe one day we get to go hunt now together
Yeah,
and
that'd be
take
awesome.
Cannon. That'd be just unreal.
As soon as the sun
Yeah.
came up this morning, he was ready to go shoot again, so we did.
I love it, man. It's all this coaching, like fitness, CrossFit, rodeo especially, has made me realize how simple really everything is when you break it down. Like there's 3 or 4 things that take place that make it doable usually.
Mhm.
Um, and we make it very difficult on ourselves by trying to do them all those things at one time instead of having an internal checklist that we talk about all the time in these OPAs and stuff. But I have the same process for anything that I do, like life in general. I have my systems. I'm like, I know that these principles are true for this. And so like shooting my bow, first thing I think like principle is my hips. Like the arrow is going to go where your hips are pointed, right? And it's
Mhm.
super easy to be like pointed to the right or left of it and still aimed on it. And then you're shooting that way and not realizing what it is. So I'm like, my hips are square, cool. My bow hand holding the bow. It's like I need to keep my hand like I'm going to shake somebody's hand. I just had it right here in the crease, and that's I
Mhm.
just if I have it there and not gripping it tight, I'm locked in. I'm good. And then the last thing is just like keeping tension through the back of the bow. It's like especially with a compound with a release, you hit they have 70, 80, 90% releases on them. So meaning when you pull back, that 70 pounds goes to if I have it at 90% let off, it goes to like 10 pounds holding it back there. So I can hold it much longer, right? So it's really easy to relax and then kind of punch your trigger or whatever, and then you
Mhm.
don't shoot well. So if I have tension through my back and I just push, like press my trigger, everything goes well. So I'm like hips forward, shake somebody's hand, squeeze your shoulder blade, and press. And I've got 4 things. And if I do that every time, I'm dead on. But
Yep.
I still, after tens of thousands of shots, will do stupid shit. And I'm like, why did you do that? You know better than that. Like you didn't go through your system.
Yep.
That's cool though. I'm excited for you guys.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I got a recurve coming in tomorrow. I can't wait for that to get here. I'm
And
very excited.
that's very cool. And that
Yeah.
is a fun thing to learn. I
Mhm.
shot Devin Riley's once, like one session, and it was very difficult. Very,
Yeah.
very different than a compound. So I'll be interested to see you get better at that and progress. And uh you're coming out here in a couple weeks. We'll get you shooting a
Mhm.
compound too and see what you like of that.
Yeah.
I've got I've got all the stuff now to work on bows. I've been just geeking out. And I haven't actually worked on a bow because I'm scared to. I'm gonna mess it up.
Yeah.
But I have all the stuff to do it. Yeah, I'm gonna learn. Gonna learn. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hopefully this is helpful for anyone listening. The core exercises, talking about the core. And yeah, we're just doing summer things over here in our world. So hopefully you guys are too. Again, if you are interested in our training or need help with nutrition, anything like that, go to our website, fill out the consultation form. It's free to do. Just click sign up now, and a coach will be in contact with you really quickly to get you set up and scheduled and get all your questions answered and get you paired up with the right person on our team and get you moving towards crushing whatever goals you have, whether it's rodeo, life, being a mom and dad, whatever. We're here for it, and we're here to help. So, guys, until next time, we'll catch you later. Hui has the best gear because it's tough, it's durable, it withstands the test of what we put it through, and that is why I am a big supporter of Hui brands. Guys, from hats, apparel, whatever you need, they've got you covered. They are the perfect blend of rodeo style and athletic performance. You can check them out at huibrands.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, is going to save you a little bit at checkout. Hey guys, we got some exciting news for you. If you're listening to this, we know that you're committed to upping your game in the arena. And we're teaming up with the Rodeo Now app to help you do just that. The Rodeo Now app allows you to record, upload, and catalog your rides and runs, review your performances in slow motion, and our favorite feature, if you're not familiar with your stock draw, you can search your animal by name to get all the intel you need to make your next ride a winning one. Join the rodeo revolution today and download the Rodeo Now app for free. It's available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. If you want to learn more about our coaches and program options, make sure to swing over to our website at www.championlivingfitness.com. You can fill out the Become an Athlete form to set up your free consultation and have all your questions answered by a coach.